Yeah.
Hey guys, good morning. We are in the 23rd session of Oracle 12c Core DBA for Beginners course, and which is just exactly the DBA part. So in this session, we are going to cover the chapter number 14, which is Oracle Database Backups. In the last couple of sessions, we have understood the basics and concepts around backups and recovery. Now it's time for us to go in detail about backups in this chapter and perform a bit of backups that regularly Oracle DBA handles with, and we will also see what are the different options available to take the backup. Now it is the time for you to recollect what are the different database files that we have discussed in the architecture part in the first few chapters of this course. Right? You have to recollect what is control file, you have to recollect what is SP file, you have to recollect what is redo log file, archive log files, data files. So all the physical files that are visible for the Oracle database will be part of the backup anytime that you schedule in real time. All right. So for that, there are already solutions or given by the Oracle. You can call them as inbuilt utilities of an Oracle database software that will help you to take the regular backups of the files. So as you can see on the screen, right, this is one of the backup solutions overview. But before we actually start this topic, because it's been very long that we covered 13 chapters, let us quickly do a recap of what we have done so far. So first chapter was all together, explaining you, installing the Oracle database software along with the operating system. So that's what we have done in chapter number one. And while installing the Oracle database, we have also understood each and every step, the reasons behind what we perform, and what do we use on the operating system. That is very, very important. That's what we did in chapter number one. It included operating system installation, it included database software installation and database installation as well. And chapter number two started with the architecture. We divided that into instance and database. Instance is made of memory and processes, and we started understanding memory architecture. So we call it SGA, System Global Area. So we completed understanding System Global Area in chapter number two. And chapter number three spoke about the process architecture, which was an intermediate between the memory components as well as the storage components. That's what we did in chapter number three. Then chapter number four speak completely about the database. That is nothing but the storage architecture. So that's the third part. So wherever your persistent data is stored, that is nothing but your storage architecture. So we need to understand the terminologies like table spaces, data files, and what is the relationship between the database, and how does a data file is always related to the database. And then we have also seen the new feature of Oracle 12c, that is in-memory cache database as well. Then fifth chapter speak completely about initialization parameters. That means the parameter file which defines the shape of the Oracle database while you bring up the instance, right? So that's what we have dealt with, and we have learned that there are two types of files that will speak about this. That is SP file, P file, and we came into a conclusion that using SP file always is the better option to run your database. Then the sixth one spoke about startup and shutdown options available in Oracle database, and what are the different phases that it goes with when a database is shutting down or database is starting up. Then we spoke about networks, that is nothing but listeners and TNS. We have also spoke about what are the different ways an application server can connect to the Oracle database through listener. We have different styles of modes of or types of connection options from the application server. But on the database server, it is always only one. The listener is the only service that will help any other servers to connect to the Oracle database. Okay. And then we have seen the management of the database storage architectures. That is nothing but how do we create table spaces for users in the database, and how do we how to manage the space, how to check the space allocated, etc., etc. That was the completely about chapter number 8. Then 9 spoke about user management. How do we create any database access will be with the help of username and password. So how do we basically create a user in the database? How do we give him appropriate access, whether in the form of direct privileges or in the form of roles? That's what we have seen in chapter number 9. And we have also seen user profiles that will help the administrators to configure and limit the resources utilized or to be used by the users with the help of resource managers. Then 10th chapter spoke about the undo data. We have seen what is undo and how is it very important, in what in what sections the undo is basically useful. And yeah, so we have also spoke about retention of undo and how do we resize the table spaces of undo, etc. Then 11th chapter spoke about completely the data concurrency, that is nothing but locks, blocks, conflicts, all of them. Then 12th chapter spoke about the performance management or maintenance. But when it comes to performance maintenance or management, it is purely a very big topic to discuss. But still, we had very good introduction topics on what terminologies we use in day-to-day activities, that we covered in chapter number 12. Then chapter number 13, the last chapter, covered purely the basics of backups and recovery operations. So now, whatever we have completed as basics in chapter number 13, we are going to pick that and complete in chapter number 14, that too only backups part. Okay, again recovery part we will again come back with chapter number 15. So once chapter number 14 is done, so let us go to chapter number 14 now. And now that you can see on the screen, okay, so the backup and solutions, as you see on the screen, so the solutions here speak about, on the left hand side is completely the database. Okay, so you have your data files, you have your archive log files, you have your control files, you have your non-database files as well. So when you say non-database files, it is nothing but your trace files, alert log files, listener log files, all of them. Okay, so now whenever you wanted to take a backup of your Oracle database, the first and most important and the best solution that the Oracle has given to DBA is RMAN. It is time for you to remember the meaning of or abbreviation of RMAN. RMAN is nothing but Recovery Manager. Hope in the last session when we spoke about the solutions available for a specific problems, we have came across RMAN. We have also came across Oracle Secure Backup. Right? Now as you can see on the screen, the best available solution by the Oracle is using RMAN, but that is not the only solution. There are other solutions also, but this is most widely used whenever you call a backup. Whenever somebody says to take the backup, the first thing that strikes in your mind is to use this utility called RMAN. Now even before RMAN, there is something called user managed OS backup. That is nothing but it is as simple as copy pasting files from the operating system. That is what we call it as user managed OS backup. For that you will not require a tool like RMAN. What you can do is you can log into the database and put it in just read mode, and then you can come back to your operating system. You can copy paste all your data files, control files, archive log files, every file onto a safest location and come back to the database and release that read mode. That is one of the ways we call it as user managed backups. So because it is very important for you to put it in the read mode, else your data will have corruptions. So that is one of the simplest ways, right? In case if you want to take a backup on your local system, you would probably do a copy paste to a pen drive or an external hard disk, etc., etc. Very similarly, even for the running database, you can do a similar copy paste, that is called as user managed backups. And the next one is RMAN backups, using which you can take a backup which is of image copy or backup pieces. So user managed OS backups are called as image copies. That means it is exactly a copy of what is there in the operating system. But backup pieces are also called as backup sets, which are taken by RMAN. That means these are much more optimized with respect to space, optimized with respect to the performance, optimized with respect to the recovery operations as well. So that's the reason in most of your projects, people will use Armin to configure backups, but those backups will be on the form of backup sets. Okay. Now coming back to this, as you can see in the shaded block, this complete backups that Armin takes by default will go to fast recovery area if fast recovery area has been configured. In case if your database has configured with FRA, that is nothing but recovery underscore file underscore dest. That's what we spoke about in the last session. In case if that is configured, by default, your Armin backups will go to that location. Okay. And then from that location, again, there is an option in the Armin itself to take those backup pieces onto media. When I say media, it will be mostly to the tapes. So in real time, what happens is disks are not that reliable when it compared to tapes. If you guys remember, tapes are nothing but your audio tapes that you must have seen almost 10 years back from now. I mean, even 10 years is not apt, probably 15 years back. So you used to have a audio tapes, right? As simple as that, a film tape. You can also store the data in the film tapes as well. So storing the data in the tapes is much more reliable than storing the data in the disk. So disks will often see failure because it is electronically designed hardware, but tapes are not electronically designed, they are physical tapes. You can see the tape, right, which is of black color, which is always most persistent than reliable, persistent than disks. So what happens is in real time, people will not just take backups onto disk, but they will also pull the backups to tapes also. But depends on the project where directly DBS will take the backup to tapes. That is one option. Or there will be separate team called backup team who will initiate the backups of files available on the disk onto the tapes. So these are the two ways how you can take the backups of your Oracle database to the tapes directly. But there should be intermediate, it should be on the disk, and from the disk it should move to tape. Or you can also directly take to tape. That is what you can see here. Armin can either make it to disk, from disk you can run it to tape, or Armin can directly take it to tape as well. But having database backup directly taking into tape is not that recommended according to me, because in case if there is any failure in the Armin, right, unnecessarily you cannot clean up the backup in the tapes as easy as you do in the disk. That's why tape space will be going to toss. So it's always good that you take the backup to disk, and then from there you initiate a separate Armin backup to tapes, or you can take the help of backup stream to do this. And one of the Oracle solutions for this is Oracle Secure Backup. That means in case if you have any physical files, you can use a secure backup to directly take the backups to tapes. That is what Oracle Secure Backup is used for. And mostly, as per my experience, Secure Backup is not used by any DBS so far to push the backups to tapes. Okay. So this is the introduction part. We are going to see in detail about each and every topic that we discussed in the solutions part, starting with Oracle Secure Backup. Okay. So the Oracle Secure Backup and Armin in combination will give you a end-to-end backup solution. That means you can have a centralized backup systems, and it is completely integrated to pull the backups onto tapes. Okay, so this is the combined solution that Oracle has given, because it is also giving an option for the DBS to directly deal with tapes instead of having a backup team. That is the main idea behind releasing this Oracle Secure Backup. Though this Oracle Secure Backup has been there since many years now, probably 3 years, 4 years, I mean even more if I am not wrong, but still it is not that successful because of high manageability that DBS have got. So most of the projects will have the backup team who should take care of pushing the backups of the Oracle databases as well onto tapes once they are available on the disk. Okay, so That is about the, I did not go in detail about the secure backup because it is not that productive to discuss, though it is because it is not used probably, nowhere in the main projects. Now comes to uh, user managed backup. What is user managed backup? As I told you few minutes back, it is equal to copy pasting all the database related files to a different location. That's it. It's a manual process, okay? But to do this regularly, definitely you need to have scripting skills like bash script, like con script or perl script, something like this, which will automatically trigger the backup of your database. And you have to write the steps inside your script what it has to perform, like connect to the database, put that in read only mode. Now come back to the operating system, copy all these files to a different location, then go back to the database, put the database back to read write operations, and my backup is done. So this is like sequential flow of writing a script to take a user managed backup. So that's what I have described here as well. You have to query this view to get all the list of data files. Then you have to query log file to get all the list of redo log files of the database. And you have to also query this to get the locations of your control files. Then you take each table space to online backup mode or the complete database to backup mode. So when I say backup mode, it is nothing but read only mode. So take the complete database to backup mode. Now copy all, you have the list of data files, log files, control files, right? Copy all of them to a different location and then come back and bring each of the table space to read write mode. That is nothing but out of your online backup mode. These are the steps that you have to perform if you wanted to take user managed backups. Now you must be very much clear, right? If you are taking user managed backups, it can also be called as image copies, okay? But image copies can also be taken by RMAN as well. But what is the main drawback of user managed backups or image backups is it will eat up lot of space. So it will eat up lot of space, which is the primary reason why no real-time projects will have scheduled user managed backups. When I say scheduled user managed backups, probably user backups can be initiated once when there is an emergency, but if you are speaking about daily backups, nobody will prefer using user managed backup because of space constraints and also because of performance, as operating system copy paste to copy probably 500 GB data file will take approximately half an hour or 45 minutes. If you have such data files too many in the database, copy paste, we never know when does it end, right? This is another reason why people would not prefer user managed backups, because of space, because of performance in terms of time, as well as in terms of database. When the database is in read only mode and if there are any active transactions, your memory will have lot of queues. So the database will also see performance issues when the backup mode is on. So that is all about user managed backups. Now let us see a very important thing that you guys will often see right from day one as your DBA profile, right? So these terminologies are always important throughout the career of Oracle DBA. So let us start understanding it one after the other. So the first thing is, whenever we speak about the strategy of the backups, one thing is you can take the entire database backup, we call it as full backup or whole backup, or you can take only the portion of database as a backup, we call it as part backup or incremental backup. Now what does it mean when it is a full backup, right? That means you are taking the backup of the complete database irrespective of what happened in the past. That is nothing but full backup. Your image copies will fall into full backup. Your user managed database backups will also fall into full backups. Now comes portion of the database backup. This is one exciting thing or important thing that you need to remember. When I have taken backup of my database completely, fine. But today if I have to take the backup, why should I again take the complete backup that I have taken yesterday? Instead, if I am able to take the backup that has changed from yesterday to today, if I am able to take only that part, that means my backups are optimized. Correct? That is the best part of thinking to avoid space issues and also performance issues. That means in case yesterday is my first backup, I'm taking a full backup. My complete database size was consider 1 terabyte. Okay, 1 terabyte was my database size. I took the backup yesterday. Now from yesterday after I completed the backup until today before I initiate the another backup, there was only 100 MB of data changed. Now if I take only that 100 MB of data which is changed, I will save lot of time and also lot of space, right, compared to 1 TB backup. So this particular backup type is called as incremental backups. Okay, now as you can see, incremental backups again are of two types. What is it? One is cumulative incremental and one is differential incremental. What does it mean? Let me take an example here. Okay, so if you see here, if I take full backup on Sunday, okay, now incremental backup on Monday includes changes between Sunday and Monday, and incremental backup on Tuesday includes changes between Sunday and Tuesday. That means Monday's changes are also included in Tuesday's backup, right? And again similarly, incremental backup on Wednesday includes changes between Sunday and Wednesday. So the Wednesday's backup will include the changes from last full backup. That means it includes Sunday's changes and includes Tuesday changes as well, and so on. This is what termed as cumulative incremental backups. That means your changes are always referred as the cumulative changes right from the last full backup. That is what called as cumulative incremental backup. Now comes to differential incremental backup. Consider the same case. Full backup, let me copy paste this, I'll save time. Control C, Control V. So now if you see here, I'm sorry. So in differential incremental backup, what happens is, consider you take a full backup on Sunday, incremental backup of Monday includes the changes between Sunday and Monday, no difference. But when you take an incremental backup on Tuesday, for this differential incremental, it will have the changes between Monday and Tuesday, not Sunday and Tuesday. Okay, it will have between Monday and Tuesday. Similarly, when you take incremental backup on Wednesday, it will have changes between Tuesday and Wednesday, right? So this is what is termed as differential incremental. That means you are only taking the difference from your yesterday's incremental backup. That's why it is differential incremental. But cumulative incremental is an option that will always take the backup when it is compared with the last full backup, but it doesn't depend on the intermediate incrementals that you pick. Okay, so conceptually this should be very, very clear. And the terminologies are like this. Full backup is also called as level 0 backup. Okay, you have to remember them. There is no other go. Full backups are also called as level 0 backups. Cumulative or differential, all differential backups or incremental backups are referred as level 1 backups. I'm sorry, why am I typing? So level 1 backups. So level 0 is always means that it is a full backup. Level 1 means that it is an incremental backup, but when it comes to incremental backup, it can be cumulative incremental or differential incremental. So these are the terminologies that you need to remember for now. And now going to the next one, terminology that you need to remember is cold backup and hot backup. So cold backup is nothing but offline backup. It is also consistent backup. That means the backup that you take after you bring down the database. So you shut down the database, you copy paste all your files to a different location. It is the consistent backup. That means consistent is there is no loss of data at all. Even 1 byte of data is not a loss. But online backups are inconsistent backups. That means, there is a possibility that data loss might be there whenever you are taking the backups, but it will be covered up if you are taking incremental backups one after the other. That means from the moment you start the backup and by the time you end the backup, there might be few of the data which might be missed in the backups, just because your database is also live online while you are taking the backup. So while you are running the backup, if somebody changes the data, right, those changes might not be reflected in the backups. That is why it is called as inconsistent backups, and it is also called as hot backup. So now coming back to the overall terminologies, hot backup can be user managed backups, can be hot backups, and user managed backups can also be cold backups. Okay, so if you bring down the database, copy paste, we call it as cold backups. If you keep the database up and running and then you copy paste the data files, we call it as hot backup. Okay, now all these backups, whatever we discussed, like full backups level 0, incremental backups level 1, all these level 0 and level 1 backups are called as hot backups. Okay, that means when you are picking up level 0 and level 1 backup, you need not shut down the database. End users can perform their transactions without any interruptions. Okay, so users are connected to the database, they'll keep working on their own. You are connected to the database from the background and you keep running the backups of the database. Both can run concurrently. Okay, that is what you guys have to remember for now. The same thing has been explained here. You can just go through them. And as I told you, image copies are nothing but duplicate data and log files in the OS format. All these data files from the OS, just pick a copy and paste it to a different location is called as image copy. But backup sets are not like that. It's a binary format files which are in the compressed files by RMAN. So it's completely the Oracle proprietary format where nobody else can read these backups except your RMAN. If you are taking a backup sets backup, you can only take it from RMAN. Once you take the backups from RMAN, those files, backup files, cannot be read by any other tools. Only RMAN can read them back to restore onto the disk or restore onto the database. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell. Full and incremental backups. A full backup is also called as level 0 backup, but you have to refer as level 0 incremental backup. Though you are saying that level 0 incremental backup, exactly whatever data blocks are available on the disk, it will be the part of your backup file as well. That is what called as full level 0 backup. Now comes to cumulative incremental backup. That means from the last full backup, only those modified data blocks will always be part of the backups. Whether this is happened on Monday, this is happened on Tuesday, it doesn't bother. Because white, this brown and green was already part of the full backup. Any other blocks which are not these three will be part of your cumulative incremental backups henceforth. That's it. Now differential incremental backup is nothing but in case if this is the full backup that happened first, then this is the another differential incremental backup happened few days back, and now from that day to today, if this is the only block which is changed, only this block will be part of your differential incremental backup. Okay, so we call it as incremental level 0. Incremental level 0 is called as full backup. Incremental level 1 is called as incremental backup. And this is nothing but if you just say backup incremental level 1 database, it is differential incremental. And in case if you want to take cumulative incremental, you have to specify that it is cumulative. Okay, so now let us take the backups, but before we start the backups, this is what rmin is the component that you need to remember for taking up the backup jobs regularly. Okay, so that's the thing that I wanted to convey here. Now let us connect to the database and do the backup operations. Now it is the time for real-time learning of whatever we have discussed so far. And one basic and important concept that I have to tell you guys is, in case if you want to take level 1 backups, that is nothing but level cumulative incremental or differential incremental backups, you need to have level 0 backups already. That means, let me come back to this. Without a earlier level 0 backup, you cannot trigger level 1 backups, because for incremental backups, the difference that it will calculate is based on the last full backup, right? That is the reason why you cannot initiate incremental backups if you did not take any full backup in the past. So for incremental backups, full backup is the base with which it can perform the comparison, and then it can take the only data blocks which are changed. Okay, this is very, very important to note. And in case, I'll write some scenario here where the best place to write is, yeah, here. When, okay, in case you took full backup, from now I will refer it as level 0 backup on Sunday, then started level 1 backups. It can be cumulative or differential backups. Then level 1 backups refer to level 0 happened on Sunday. Consider this is until Wednesday. What happened is, on Thursday again you took level 0 backup on Thursday, and then same level 1 backups have been initiated. Now level 1 backups will refer to level 0 took on Thursday instead of Sunday for difference or incremental blocks. Now that means that whenever you are taking a level 1 backup, it will always refer to the latest level 0 backup to perform the increment operations. It will not consider the level 0 backups that you have taken in the past if there are any. Only it will refer to the latest level 0 backup that you have taken. From that latest level 0 backup, it will start calculating what is the incremental changes happened. Okay, this is very, very important concept to remember. So now before we actually run the rmin backups, right, we need to configure it. So let us do it. Did we start? No. So it has to, we have to configure, we have to make sure that the rmin configurations are perfect. And once the rmin configurations are perfect, then you can start using rmin. By default, when the Oracle database is installed, there are certain rmin configurations available. We call them as default rmin configurations. So we will see how these default rmin configurations are configured, and then we will move forward with backups. Okay, so let us wait until the system comes up. So my database is now up and running, so let us connect. So the first thing is set up the environment variables. And the next thing is set up the listener. And the next thing would be start up the database. So it is opening now. So how do we connect to rmin? You have to come back to the command line console. Just say rmin space target space /. You will be in the rmin console of the environment variables that you have set. So on the top, the environment variables have been set to OraDB database. That is the reason why when I say rmin target /, it connects to OraDB database. So this is the basics that you need to remember. So to whatever environment variables you set, rmin target / will connect to that database. So what happened? The reason why it took so long to connect to the database is, you remember, right? Whenever database is started, it will perform recovery automatically. Instance recovery we call it as. Roll forward operations will be done on the mount stage, and roll backward operations will be done after the database is opened. I did not shut down the database cleanly last time. So after the database is opened, in the background, there might be the recovery jobs. That means roll backward operations might be running, and because of which there was time taken for the rmin to connect, because only after the roll backward operations your database will allow the rmin connection to the database. That's why. So that is what I can think of. Now this is what called as rmin console. To check the configurations of your rmin, right, the default configurations that come, you can just say show all. So when you just say show all, you will get the configurations available default in your control file. All the configurations of your rmin are saved in your control file. So if you are changing any of these configurations which are coming by default, that means all those configurations will be saved in your control file. So that means backing up the control file is also important, not just because of the database structure, it is also because rmin configurations are also part of it. And not only this, I have given an image clearly, right? What are the different details that control file will store? That is something that you can rely upon. Now you can see that these are the different configurations which you will get to know when you are doing a full-fledged real-time activities of your backups and recovery. So this becomes a very good discussion and a separate discussion for 3 to 4 sessions at least. That's why this particular topic is again considered as a part of real-time activities course. Okay, but for you I am just showing it here that what is the configurations, where do you find the configurations of your database. Alright, now we will start taking up the backup of the database. Let's see. I will just say backup database level 0, incremental level 0. Okay, not like this. Let me actually show you. Backup as backup set incremental level 0 database. Now what is happening is, as I told you, there are two types of backups, right? One is backup images, another one is backup sets. So I'm telling that take the backup as backup sets and it is level 0. That means full database backup. Now if you check, my database is still running at the background. Users can connect to the database even when the backups are running. But now all the table spaces and data files that we have created as a part of our exercise, all of these data files are part of your incremental level 0 backups now. Cool. Now this incremental level 0 backups, what does it do? It will only take data file backups, and at the max it will take SP file backup and control file backup if auto backup of control file is enabled. So in the configuration you can see that configure control file auto backup off. Because it is off, now it will not take the automatic backup of your control file. Automatic backup of your SP file will not be taken. So to take the backup of control file, again you need to say include control file in the same command. Okay, once this is done, we will do that. Okay, so by default a full database backup includes control file and SP file. That is the reason why it automatically created, because it is a level 0 backup, right? When it is a level 0 backup, it is a full backup. So full backup means all the things that are related to the database has to be part of it. That's why, you have taken, it automatically picked control file and SP file backups as well. Now, because there is another important thing called archive log files also, right? In case if you want Oracle to take the backups of data files, control files, SP files, as well as archive log files, how do we do? Let me tell you. The same thing, full backup. Okay, and archive log all, if I am not wrong. Now again it is running the full backup of the database, but before that it is taking the backups of your archive logs. See, sequence number 10 to sequence number 26, all these archive logs are there on the disk. All these archive logs are being part of first backup set, and after the archive logs backup is done, now it is starting the data file backups. Right? So this is where the backups of your archive logs have gone. Now if you check the backups, I did not tell where to which location backups have to be taken, but because FRA is already configured, it has taken the backups to FRA. So within FRA directory, database directory is created, and within the database directory, backup set is created. Within the backup set directory, today's date is created, and in this directory, this is the unique name given to the backup. And in this backup, you have your archive logs. Okay, so this is how you can say in the same command include archive log all. That means along with the regular backup, it will also take archive logs backup. And all these backups taken by Armen as a backup set is a binary format, right? You cannot read any file. But now in case if you want to read the control file backup as a human readable format, there is an option for you that is nothing but backup the database to backup control file to trace. But we will come back to it after initiating incremental backup now. So backup as backup set, okay, incremental level 1. Now because if I say incremental level 1 database, it will do differential incremental database, and again archive log, I can say archive log all, but not required. Now what happens, whatever data blocks have changed from the last full backup to this, it will be the part of the backup. Now that is the reason why this backup will be very, very quick. Just check. Earlier full backup took some, approximately 1 minute to complete the full backup. Now it is incremental level 1, it will not take that. It will be very, very less, probably 15 seconds, 20 seconds, it should be done. But incremental level 1 backups will also be slower in case if you do not have, tracking system. So block tracking, so something like, from last full backup, whatever blocks are changed, if you can track, Armen will directly go and take only those tracked blocks from the disk. So we call that as, I think I have written here somewhere. One minute, let me show you. I have written it here for your reference. Why did I not write? I think. If I have not written, I'll write it. So that's why I'm checking. Can be copy level 1 incremental backups. Differential makes it more. Okay. Scripted files. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I have not written, so I should have written. Yeah, block change tracking. I have wrote it somewhere. Yeah, change tracking with Armen. So change tracking is nothing but the whatever has been changed since last level 0 backup. If you can track them, right, block change tracking, what happens is your level 1 backups will directly refer to those tracks and then picks up the data file, picks up those blocks which are changed into the backups. So your incremental level 1 backups can also be made faster with the help of block change tracking enabled. By default, block change tracking will not be enabled, you will have to enable it. So because it is, as I told you, RMN itself is a vast topic to discuss. There are a lot of other things also that we can consider, but for now, because it's being a basic one, you have now again initiated level 1 backup. That means this backup is successful because the last level 0 backup has been taken. Because we took last level 0 backups, we have taken twice, right? One is in the timestamp. Okay, so one was first one without archive log file, second one with archive log files. So this level 1 incremental backup has been referred the backup that you have taken along with the archive log files, not with the backup that we have taken earlier. So let me actually copy paste these commands for you, because in the document I did not write. I thought I will execute and then copy paste for you here. So this is one that we executed. And this is another, I think this is okay. And this is the level 0 backup. And I'm showing you a very simplest form of taking these backups. We can make this as complex as possible with daily configurations as well. Now we have taken all these backups. In case if you want to check what are the backups I have taken so far, we need to generate reports also, right? One thing is list backups, list backup database. If you say this, I'm sorry, list backup, list backup, okay, list backup. If you just say list backup, it will tell you the list of backups that we have taken so far. See, these are the list of backups that you have taken so far. Just after this command, you have got the complete report of what happened so far. Since the beginning of today's session, all the RMN activities that you have done is part of this particular output. So this is nothing but generating the reports of your backups that you have already performed. So for this, I have this. Let us come back and see. So first backup that you have initiated was on this date, okay, and the complete size was 1.9 gig. It is level 0 backup, and the backup that you have taken is here, and that backup is available. And this backup included all these data files. All these data files have level 0 backup, and after that, you can also see that this particular backup took 1 minute 3 seconds, okay, that is level 0. And after that, it has taken the backup of your control file that was on disk, and you have that details also here. So SP file is backup, it is a level 0, that means full backup of your SP file is available here. And then you have the control file also in the same backup. Now again we initiated level 0 backup of your archive log files also database, so in which this is the archive log backup, okay. So that is the reason you do not have level for the archive log backups, it is always full backup. So these are the list of archive logs which are part of this backup, and it took 10 seconds to take the backup. And after that, it took the backup of all your data files. Again, it was level 0 backup, the size is 1.19 gig, and it took 53 seconds. Now it is not compressed, that's fine. Now after that, we took level 1 backup, so we have SP file, control file backups. After that, just check. Incremental level 1 backup size is only 144 kilobytes, whereas incremental level 0, that is full backup, is 1.19 gig. That means there were no data blocks changed, right? Between 10 seconds, what data must have changed? Nothing, only headers must have changed. That's the reason it took only the size that is part of the backup is only 144 kilobytes, and the elapsed time is 22 seconds. And this 22 seconds can become much more faster in case if you enable block change tracking. So block change tracking is nothing but, since the last level 0 backups, whatever blocks are changed, that block information is stored in one table space, which will be referred by these incremental backups, so that it can directly go to those blocks and take those blocks in the part of the backup. That's it. Because it is not there, it has to go and scan the complete backup of that it has taken last time, and that's the reason it is taking 22 seconds. Ideally, for 144 kilobytes of change, this should complete in 5 seconds if you have blockchain tracking enabled. And another backup which took 1 second is your SP file and control file. That's it. So this is how you can generate the reports as well for the backups that you have taken, whether it is incremental, whether it is level 0 or level 1, etc., etc. Okay, now because these backups are being stored in the fast recovery area, I have some query for you which will help you to identify the space utilizations of FRA. So now what you can do is just copy this command and get back to your SQL Plus and then paste it here. You will see that flash recovery area you have allocated 4.5 gig, in which you have already used 3.3 gig, and reclaimable space is 1.7 gig, that means rest of them, and percentage of use is 68.5%. So that means 3 gig out of 4.45 gig is 68.54. Okay, so that means whenever you are running next backups, right, it will have only 1.7 gig available. That means you need to clean up this FRA location or change the size of this FRA location, increase it with the help of changing up this parameter. Instead of 4560, you can say alter system set db file disk size to 7 gig, scope equal to both. Now if I run the same cleanable, say this one, a select statement, now see 3 gig 3.05, that is nothing but 43.6. The flash reclaimable space is nothing but whatever is the percentage, I mean whatever files which are duplicate, right? It is telling that there are duplicate files in FRA that you can remove, that will save approximately 1.7 gig of space. What are the duplicate files that we have taken? We have taken 2 different level 0 backups, right? You can remove that. Then your your space, that 1.7 gig can be free. That's what it says. And please remember guys, whenever you are changing the size of your FRA here, make sure in the hard disk that space is available. What I mean, df-h, if you do, our DB file recovery destination is in /RA data. If I am changing from 4.5 gig to 7 gig, that means I should have at least 1.5 gig extra here. Correct? I have 12 gig extra, but 1.5 gig is always there in 12 gig. So that's the reason I have extended. Okay? And before we close it, as I told you, in case if you want to take a backup of control file in human readable format, you can do that. Just say this, or I think you can take it from the SQL Plus itself. I think that's what I have given here. Let me check. Yeah, it is from this one only, not through Armen. You can connect to SQL Plus /SSDBA, and you can say alter database backup current control backup control file to trace as /oracle or /home/oracle/control.ctl. Now what happened is, it has taken the current control file to trace. Whenever you are saying trace, right, if you do not specify this location, your control file will be created in your user dump destination or background dump destination. Again, you have to go and search for the control file backup there. But instead, if you give your own location, right, you can directly go to this location and read this file. So if you see here, more CTL, this is the control file information. See? And even if you have taken control file backup to trace, not every information is available here. Only limited information will be there, in which you can check what is the database name and what are the maximum configurations available and what are the list of data files, redo log files. So these are the list of data files, and these were the list of redo log files. There are 3 groups. Each group have got 2 members, and then you have character set information, and Yeah, so whatever activities you have performed in the last time, all of them is there. That's it. So there will be limited information, though you take the control file backup to trace to read it, but in the binary format, it will have much more information like the latest SCN number, your RMN configuration information, your uh, uh, database created timestamp, all of them. Okay, which you will not find it here anyway. Alright, so these are the things that I wanted you guys to know, because it is always good to know these things as basics part. So with this, we are concluding the backups part using RMN. When you relate it to the 13th chapter, right? The concepts that we have learned related to the backups, now we have applied those backup concepts using RMN. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now. In the next chapter, that is chapter number 16, that is the next session. Chapter number 15, we are going to cover recovery operations. So whatever backups you have taken now, we will use those backups to recover your lost files in case. Okay. So